Well, I've not done a video blog for a while, and that's mainly because I haven't really been out on the bank that much. I've just started a new job with Grays in the marketing department as media manager, and I've had a really busy winter organising the shows and attending the shows. And when I did get out to fish this winter, the weather conditions were terrible and I didn't get a great deal of joy. I did have a small one from down at Farlow's, and I have recently been out on Brassnose One on a tutorial, and we caught a good few fish there, 7 or 20 between us. Fishing's got a bit wrong again this year for about the third year on the bounce. Every time I get a plan together to go and fish somewhere, it all goes pear-shaped, and this year was no different. I planned on fishing Burfield again like I was in the summer of last year, but a majority of that has gone no fishing at the minute. I'm hoping that will change in the near future, but at the minute there's only a short bit of bank that you can actually fish. So I'll give the place a miss, and I've gone to plan B, which is this place down here. It's near Bournemouth on the south coast. It's big water, or biggish water. It's about 55 acres. It's about 120 fish in here. So it's not a particularly easy water, but it is very, very busy, and that's half the trouble. Apparently at the weekend there was 34 people on, and last night was a Monday night and there were 23 on. So it's really, really busy down here for saying it's low stock and it's a tricky place. But the rewards are worth it. I started on here as soon as the club got hold of it in the middle of March. And it was a bit of a struggle. I didn't catch through March. I lost one in early April, but the weather conditions really didn't help. There was a lot of easterly winds, occasionally northeasterly winds, and it was really, really cold weather early on. Temperatures dipping below zero most nights, and not getting up much above 4 or 5 degrees, and the wind chill factor was terrible, so the fish weren't showing, nothing was really happening. But it's all sort of changed this session. The water looks a bit more alive. There's a few fish showing out there of an evening, and everything seems much, much better, and it does seem like the onset of spring rather than an extension of the winter. And everything seems to be coming together this session. It started yesterday morning when I got a take in the early hours of the morning. It was a carp straight away, absolute belting take. Played it in, put up a pretty good scrap. I'm using a braided main line, and it's always a bit shaky playing fish on braid. I'm not really used to it on much firm mono or fluorocarbon. But I managed to bank it, slip the net underneath, and as soon as I flicked the head torch on, I recognised a fish called the Camel, a nice scaly one. Got him on scales at £38, absolute cracking fish, and really, really pleased to get it. That was one of my targets from the water, probably one of the nicer looking scalers. My first fish from a new water, Camel. That's just my first fish from Hampshire altogether. Cracking looking fish, put up a decent scrap. Look at the size of that tail. Absolute cracker. Nice to go back safely.
Happy days.
I received no more action that night, and nothing again the following day. It just seemed to die a death a little bit in the day. The sun come out straight away, and nothing really happened. But then the following night I got the rods back out, hopeful of another bite, and I got 2 bites in short succession just after dark. Unfortunately both of them bream. But then in the early hours of the morning I was woken up by one of the rods, and before I even got a chance to get my boots on, one of the other rods just signalled a drop back straight to the bottom. So I picked up the rod that was screaming off, thinking that the fish had sort of kited 20 yards on a bit of a back lead, sort of pivoted and took the other line out. So I played the first fish in, and absolute cracking fish. Couldn't be happy with it. Well, this is my biggest fish of the session, 39.14, just won't quite go 40. Dale's just been saying he had it in the autumn at 42, so it's a little down in weight after the long winter layoff. Had this one part of a double take with the common, which is not the sort of thing you expect on a low stock big pit, so really, really surprised me, and really pleased to catch it. So it's been a hard old struggle fishing here through March and early April when it's been really cold. now it's starting to pay off. Happy days.
Oh, I'm in the lake.
And I'm wet now.
Lovely.
It's worth it for this one. Oh, right, go on, mate.
Fair enough. Angry man.
Weighed that fish, put him in the retention sling, and then the other rod started beeping again. And then the bobbin hit the top and started screaming off. And I didn't quite know what was cracking off, but it turns out that I don't think it did cross the line. I think I had literally 2 takes together at exactly the same time. Within, you know, they must have picked up the bait within a second of each other. So I picked up that rod. Luckily, the fish was still there. Played it in and landed a 36-pound common. So really, really pleased with that. You know, nice little brace on a very, very tricky water. Well, it's a 36-pound common. So really happy.
Yeah, good. Oh yeah.
Torpedo. Fantastic.
Pretty dark because of the sun. That's it.
Now I'm getting wet. I should have got my chest waders.
Worth it, wasn't it? We've got all day to dry.
And then I got another bite just before dawn, but unfortunately it was a bream again, which is not really what I wanted. I wanted to get an hour or so sleep before dawn before we did the photos. But I got the rod back out to the mark again, and Darrell Peckers in the next swim just sort of popped round to see how it got on during the night, just as the middle rod screamed off. This is going to be fun. 2 lines here and 2 native fish there.
Was it 39 and what?
36.
36, lovely. Got to be a 40 this one, isn't it?
Nice. And this one put up a pretty good scrap as the sun was coming up in the background. It just seemed to fight on a long line for a while, and then when I got it into the margins it still didn't want to give in. It just kept charging up and down the margins and just plodding away.
Go on.
Get in. 3 and a 9. It's a 32-pounder from the Hampshire water I've been fishing. Nice fish, just went off just into dawn, just as the sun was coming up. Cracking looking fish. Well pleased with that.
Quite dark. If I you just shut into the sun a little bit. That's it, much better.
So I've got to say I couldn't be happier with the result I've had. 3 30s in one night, and 4 30s for the session to just under £40. Fantastic result on a really tricky water. And I've got to say I'm absolutely exhausted as well. Not just because I had 1 hour's sleep last night with a 3 bream and 3 carp, but because of the circumstances that I'm catching them from. I'm catching them from really long range. I've got this right hand rod here blasted right out. It's over 170 yards out into the centre, and the others are over a spotted area which is about 150 yards out. So it's, as you can probably imagine, it's quite exhausting trying to get any sort of amount of bait out there in a spot. So I'm going to have a couple of hours sleep today and stay on for tonight. Now I don't normally do 3 nights because I'm at work tomorrow morning. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish tonight because most of the action's in the night. I'm going to fish tonight, pack up tomorrow at dawn, and then take the 3-hour journey home, 180-mile drive home, and get ready for work for 9 o'clock in the morning. So if I think I'm exhausted now, I think I'm going to be even worse tomorrow. It's all worth it.